Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. We're doing something a little bit lighter today because, like Julie, I had my COVID vaccine yesterday, and I just wanted to do something where I wasn't having to concentrate real hard. We could have a bit of a party atmosphere. So I said, I was trying to decide what to do, and Purple actually gave me the idea for this stream. Last week, I did a video, You Be the Judge, Victim Blaming That Demands a Verdict, which is a play on Josh McDowell's Evidence That Demands a Verdict, because Josh McDowell was talking about his stance on what he does to prevent himself from getting into the sexual issues that Ravi Zacharias did. And I thought that his safety measures or guidelines, as he calls them, just took things way too far because, it basically comes down to, well, let's just, blame women for the problem and just, shun women and that'll take care of the problem. Anyway.
I have so much guilt, Granny. I'm just enticing men everywhere I go with
I know.
and my blue jeans. And
we should just all put on full Islamic garb.
Yeah, like Muslims, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, women in the Middle Ages wore veils.
Right, that's right.
Let's do it.
Hey, it might be better in the summertime. I'm just saying. That looks pretty free-flowing and cool.
Not really, because they cover their whole bodies.
And they have to wear dark colors because sunlight will go through, and it's so bad. Anyway,
in my case, it won't help because, when a woman catches my eyes, it's how expressive her eyes are is usually the first thing I zoom in on.
That's one of the first things I notice about someone, too. Their eyes.
It's a good thing because that's the only thing you'd be able to see.
Well, anyway, so I was talking about how ridiculous the guidelines were, and Purple was making a comment about Campus Crusade, which is now called Crew, and that's the organization that Josh McDowell works for. Josh McDowell Ministries is a ministry of Crew, Campus Crusade, and I personally have had some. I wouldn't call them bad experiences, but definitely some weird experiences with Campus Crusade. So I just put out a note in a couple of the different chat rooms. Hey, who wants to trash Crew? And so here we are to trash Crew. And I don't know that we'll have enough material to cover the whole time. If we don't, that's okay. We'll talk about whatever comes up. And if there's anyone in the chat that has had an experience with Crew that they want to share, just say something and I'll drop a link down for you and you can jump into the stream as well. So first, I would need to say hello to my guests. We have B.
Hi, Granny.
B. Hello, B. And we have Julie.
Hey.
And we have Purple.
Hello.
And how is everyone doing today?
I'm pretty good. I'm sleepy because I was supposed to get the vaccine yesterday. We had a huge power outage. Like 26,000 people in the city were out of power, and then it went down to 8,000 by like 6 a.m. I was out of power for a bit, and my appointment was early enough in the morning that I didn't know if that vaccination place would be open. So I missed the appointment and had to cancel it and then go in and make another one. So I didn't get it yesterday, but I got it this morning, and I'm half done now, half vaccinated. I just kept that on for a visual aid that happened earlier. It could come off now, but yeah, the fatigue's no joke.
I love you, Julie.
I know. I'm enticing.
And this is where the shot went in.
Where the shot was. It went right into the goddess, the fairy goddess version of the goddess Bridget's or Saint Bridget, if you're Catholic, right into her face. I think is where the shot went. Anyway, not the point. Now we're here to talk. We're talking about that. So
right, yeah. And so say hello to everyone in the chat. Hello to Never Again, to Kevin Chaos, to Godless Sewing, to Mr. Shadow Kitty, to Maya Atkinson, to Ox. And did I miss anyone? That's all I see at the moment. So yeah, thank you all for coming and for watching us. And here I'll start by telling you what experience that I had with Crusade. I had kind of a unusual perspective. When I started college, I was absolutely ecstatic about the idea of being able to go to Bible study anytime I wanted to, because I converted to Christianity at 16. I was raised in a secular home, and my parents never had any objection to me going to church, but they did object to me going to youth group. They objected to me going to anything beyond just an ordinary church service. They thought that was all unnecessary. So, I felt like, having converted at 16, I missed all of the children's stories, and I missed all of learning all these songs that these kids knew. And so I felt like I had some catching up to do. So when I was a freshman in high school, the first thing I did was join 5 different Bible studies. I joined Navigators, I joined Campus Crusade, I joined Campus Bible Study. I don't remember what the other 2 were, but I went to a different Bible study every day of the week.
Granny does nothing by half measures, y'all.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
Wow.
And when I was starting in Campus Crusade, there was a girl that I had already met on campus and I came to know and respect, and she was a junior. And she said, "Be careful of Campus Crusade, because they are just out with the old, in with the new." Of course, I had no clue what she was talking about. So I went to Campus Crusade, but I was kind of on my guard a little bit, because she'd told me, be careful of Campus Crusade. And I actually enjoyed Campus Crusade the best of the 5 Bible studies I was in. And I quickly discovered that I couldn't do 5 Bible studies and all of my studies. And so I cut it back to where I was just going to church and Campus Crusade, and I cut the rest of them out. And I really liked Campus Crusade at first. For one thing, they gave us a test at the beginning to see how much knowledge you had about Christianity, and then divided us into groups based on our knowledge. Well, being a new Christian, I was not surprised that I was put in the beginner group. And so, okay, no problem. But there was another girl there that was really upset with being put in the beginner group, because she said, I've been a Christian all my life, and I knew all the concepts of the questions that were on the test. I just didn't use the same terminology that they did. And, here I am stuck in the beginners group because I didn't use the same terminology they did. And I thought, well, that kind of stinks, but oh well, that's what happened. And I kind of accepted it. And I went through the year and was just fine with everything my freshman year. But when I came back in my sophomore year, boy, that girl that warned me that, Campus Crusade is out with the old, in with the new, boy, was she right. Because, you walked in, and the first thing they did was they gave you the same test. Took the same test. I knew all the answers this time. They put me in the beginners group again. And it wasn't because I didn't get every question on the test right, because I did. It was because they had selected a couple of students that they wanted to be in their in group, that these were going to be their leadership group. And there were only 2 groups. There's the leadership group and the beginners group.
Oh.
And that's what she meant by out with the old, in with the new.
Oh,
I was now the old. And because I wasn't, and the whole reason that I wasn't selected for the leadership group was because there were a couple of people on staff that were adults. And one of the adults was single, and she lived in a home with about 4 other students who were all leadership group. But because I didn't live in the house with them, I didn't get selected for leadership group. And since I wasn't leadership group, the only thing left is basic training. And I said,
red flags at those?
Yeah, so that's where I realized it was out with the old, in with the new. I was the old, and all they're interested in is the new people. And the biggest push of Campus Crusade is sharing your faith. They taught us to share our faith, and we would go around campus sharing our faith. We mostly went to the commons, look for anyone who's sitting by themselves. And now they were polite about it. You go up to someone and you ask, may I share the 4 spiritual laws with you? And if they say no, then you move on to the next person. We were not pushy about it. But we did target foreign students because foreign students were more likely never to have heard of the 4 spiritual laws. Whereas, students that were there were more likely to say, no, thanks, I've heard this all before. So yeah, we did target the foreigners. And there were a couple of practices that they had that were really kind of shady. One of which was for Halloween, we did an event where Campus Crusade rented a hearse, and they had a couple people dress up like they were dead, and someone was the Grim Reaper and holding up this big sign, "Where will you go when you die? Do you know where you will go when you die?" And yeah,
it was house on wheels.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was all just kind of creepy. So it wasn't anything horrific. I mean, they weren't abusing anyone. They were just kind of creepy. So that's my experience. Oh, the one other experience I had with them is that I donated some money to them. And after I did that, I kept getting letters asking for more money, asking for more money, asking for more money. So finally, I sent them a letter that said, "Congratulations, I have now calculated that you have spent my entire donation asking me for more money."
Ooh.
Yep.
Oh,
the paper and the postage, there goes my donation.
Yep. Yep. They quit asking for more money.
Good. Now, in all fairness, I got to say, I donate to Planned Parenthood periodically, and I do get requests for generation. Wow, guys, I'm tired.
Generous donations.
For generous
generations.
For donations once a month, I do. So so secular. My point is that secular organizations do that as well. But yeah, that's yeah.
Yeah, it's largely a question of how often they do it. I donate to PBS and I get things from NPR all the time like that too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, your name gets put on a list and they sell the list.
And then every time I move, they lose me. And then it starts again.
Yeah, that's true. You get a breathing space, and then
for a couple months, right? And then they find me.
I have a question. I have a couple of questions. I'm sorry, I had to write them down because.
Are they specific? Oh, we lost Julie.
Aw, did you kick her off for having questions, Granny? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
I have questions. Nope.
I wanted to move to Purple next anyway, so we'll go ahead and we'll let Purple talk about his experience with crew, and then when Julie comes back, we'll take Julie's questions.
Yeah. My experience. Sorry, had to clear my throat.
That's okay.
Yeah, my experiences with the Campus Crusaders was generally from. I was in the pagan community for 25 years. So, there were a lot of things where they would wind up doing protests and we'd organize counter protests, or we would be protesting because the university did something that seemed too religious and they'd show up as a counter protest. So mostly clashing with them that way.
Yeah, to answer Maya's question, no. And yeah, I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened, but apparently my camera doesn't want to cooperate anymore. So the beautiful face you now see on your screen is that of my partner, Shop Library. Yeah, but it's my voice. And no, my Planned Parenthood does not harass me or snub me if I can't donate to them. They're cool with it. Yeah, I heard.
Well, she meant because CC did it to Granny, and then they wanted more money. It's what Maya meant.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
and atheist God is right. When you give, you must give more.
Yes, more.
Yes, it's always more.
So I have a question.
You muted yourself.
Yep, Julie got muted.
Hope her mic didn't go too. What the heck?
I'm not.
There she goes.
I swear, I am not touching my computer. I'm not touching my mouse. I'm gonna.
Well, that's the problem. Your computer feels neglected.
What is happening today?
Stroke the computer.
I don't believe in ghosts anymore. This is BS. I'm not okay. Really quickly, question. Here it goes. When you said that the young lady had warned you they're out with the old and in with the new, it never occurred to me that you were talking about people. I thought I reckoned that she must have been saying they are so not conservative enough. I thought that's where that was going, where she's like, they've forgotten that good old time religion and they're doing the buffet Christianity or whatever. Because the way it's often referred to down here, it's called Crew and it's called Campus Crusade for short, but it's what
Oh, she's muted again. Oh, and she's gone again.
Well, maybe when she comes back, it'll work better.
Yep. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Opal. What were you going to say?
Well, here they're usually as Campus Crusaders for Christ. So at the U of M, they got to be so annoying that they actually organized a parody group of Campus Crusaders for Cthulhu.
Oh, goodness.
So having these same initials and the same font whenever they posted things of their organizing.
Why choose the lesser of two evils? Sorry, that was that was in response to the Campus Crusade for Cthulhu.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, no, I'm sorry.
So,
I don't know what's going on.
What did that group do?
Go ahead. What were you saying, Julie?
No, I was also going to say that being raised as a Catholic Mary worshiper, that's sarcasm. Yeah, there's my darling. Yeah, exactly. As being raised as a Catholic Mary worshiper, please note the sarcasm. I wasn't involved in Campus Crusade for Christ, but I had a lot of students who were, and I always got hung up and a little giggly to myself away from them because I didn't want to alienate my students about that name, because the Crusades were so horrendous and they brought in so much disease and horror and just awful things came out of the Crusades that it's just like, why use that name?
That's exactly why Crusade changed their name to Crew. Because yes, they were getting that association and it was not favorable. And so that's exactly why the organization changed its name to Crew.
Good to know.
I mean, it's never favorable when you go out and oh, you're not one of us, and kill people. I mean, it just doesn't work well. It's not something you want to brag about later.
Yeah, particularly when you're invading their land. Like it's
right.
It's one thing if they invade you and they're like, you're going to worship our God now, and you're like, no, we're not. That's different. But
right.
When you're on the other side of that, when you're the aggressor, yeah, it just doesn't go down well in history.
Nope.
Okay, I do have a quick story if I can get it out before whatever's happening kills my connection. Really quickly, we had a young man. This never happened before.
Nope.
And God has intervened and stopped her from telling her story. It is proof.
It's a miracle.
Well, there's some proof for you, people. There you go. Dang it. All right. Anyway, no, there was this never happened, and yes, he did come with a sword. That's absolutely correct. Okay, so there was a kid on campus who was really zealous, and he liked to stand up literally on a milk crate, and preach, holding the Bible like by his head, like old school Jesus freak style, like Bible next to his ear as if it's whispering to him or something, and then he'd just go off and tell us all how we were going to hell. And I usually just walk by. I was a professor. I didn't have time for this nonsense, so I just walked by and kind of try and tune it out because it was really hateful. Yeah, God does hate me, Junk Shop. I know. It's cool. It's fine. We don't get along. It's a mutual thing.
Right.
So, your invisible friend hates me. So this other kid, the secular kid, I say kid, they were legal adults, but this other 19-year-old starts getting up on a milk crate 3 feet from this guy. And he just starts preaching from secular literature. Like one day, the first day, I think he came out and he just read poetry. And like the next time he read something else. The time that I stopped and stood through the whole thing and applauded was the time when he dressed up like Arthur Dent from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, bathrobe, some mail sticking out of his pocket, towel and all, and preached from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And it was amazing. And I stayed through the whole thing and applauded until my hands were red afterwards. That was just beautiful. And it really upset the young man. But it's like, dude, it was just sort of a very sweet and non-directly confrontational way of saying, yeah, fiction's awesome. Just know it's fiction.
The Babelfish is a dead giveaway.
Right? That was actually the part that he read, which was so good. Okay, so that's my story with crew, or what they're calling themselves now.
Okay.
So Purple, were you saying that when you were a pagan, they would come and mess with you? Is that what you were saying?
Yeah, well,
That
just whenever there was any kind of protest things, we usually wound up clashing with them.
Oh, during protests. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I bet you did.
So, yeah, we would protest over anybody who was pushing religion, and they would protest against anything they didn't think was religious enough.
Right.
But at the university here, it really wasn't a terrible problem. That guy was the preacher kid. He was very unusual because while there are many very religious students on campus, there's also a right off campus, like you literally cross the street and you're there. There's the Baptist Student Association, the Methodist Student Association, the Catholic Student Association, the Jewish Student Association. There's a Muslim Student Association right next to a mosque. There is, I mean, it's just, they're all right there. So
that sounds like a good college.
It is. It's a great, I mean, like people love to diss. I'm just going to say it. People love to diss the University of Memphis, but it's a great school. So
I mean, if they're that diverse, that's excellent. That's how it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, not that I agree with all those religions, but some people do. They have a right
and
to.
And the thing is, they were all there and accessible to students without cars, and they were all right off campus. So they weren't in your face on campus because it's a state school. It's not a religious school.
Good.
Well, and I believe that is something that has to be all or none. So if there's going to be any religious groups there, they should try to represent as many as possible.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there were neo-pagans on campus. We it was pretty that there weren't enough of us to have a student union, but we when I was getting my bachelor's degree and I was very much a neo-pagan, I'd just wear a pentacle everywhere, and I'd get I'd get blessed bees and things like that. What would upset Christian students were my tattoos. But they never really got mean about it. They'd show me their tattoo of a cross, and I'd be thinking, you're not supposed to have that, right? You're not supposed to mark your body. But I wouldn't go there. We'd just talk about tattoos.
Desecration of the temple.
Yeah.
When I was in my early 30s, I looked like the picture of Jesus you see in all the Catholic churches.
Hot. I mean, that's
I had the hair and the beard. I looked just like him.
That's awesome.
A lot like Jay from Nevermore Tavern.
Oh, Jay.
Yeah, just a bit fairer complexion.
If Jesus had gotten to live just a little bit longer, yeah.
I can't think of what that one guy's name is. And I think he's religious or something, but his face and everything, he looks like
the one
Jesus
that Godless
statues.
Engineer has been reviewing.
And he puts on the full Jesus garb and everything. Yeah, I think it was Godless Engineer. No?
Okay.
Not the same guy?
Godless Engineer has been doing responses to a number of videos from a guy that does look just like he's supposed to be Jesus, but he doesn't wear a robe or anything like he's actually trying to look like Jesus. He just does.
Well, I think I can't remember if he's, I don't know, maybe he's just an atheist and he's being sarcastic. I didn't see that much of him, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, I had one great incident with it that, I had dropped everybody off because I wound up having to park the car like half a mile away. So I dropped everybody off, and apparently while I was walking back, a group came up to them and, with their pamphlets and everything and said, have you found Jesus? Mm-hmm. And that's just as I'm walking up, and one of the people from our group says, yeah, he's right behind you.
That question. Oh, did they look? Tell me they looked. Oh, it wasn't. Oh, they didn't look. Damn it.
In denim with a white T-shirt.
That question, and again, this came from the type of Christianity in which I was raised. Catholics don't ask that question. They don't ask if you found Jesus. It's about faith and works, because faith without works is dead. That's the Catholic view. So it's not just there's no being saved. It's like you get baptized, you do the sacraments, you get baptized, you get your first penance, you do your first communion, yada yada. And so that whole concept, like the first time a student asked me at my school, at my elementary school, if I was saved, I think I said, from what? I was so confused. and then later that whole, have you found Jesus? I'm like, where is this, where he fell in? What are you talking about? That's an old joke and it's not mine and it's terrible. But yeah, what is that? I get it. I understand what people mean now when they say that, but it's still, part of me is still baffled by that whole notion.
God equals the square root of -1. If you go out as a Muhammad on Halloween, you got to be careful where you go, because if you go into an Islamic area, they're likely to hurt you for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would not be funny to them.
Well, I know a lot of really chill Muslims, like I'd almost say cultural Muslims, who just like do observe like the major holidays and stuff, and the rest of the time, like they don't, like the women don't wear the I know this word,
hijabs.
Hijabs, yeah, they don't wear hijabs, and if they do wear a hijab, they wear a hijab and blue jeans and long sleeve shirts. Like that's their version of modesty.
Isn't that Muslim light?
It's very much Muslim light, yeah, and it's what you see a lot.
Light, you know,
you see that a lot in the South. I see like full on burqas too, but it's very rare. It's very rare. I mean,
that's generally, if you find Muslims in the U.S., that's what you're going to find, because a lot of them have, come here because they thought the countries they came from were too fanatical.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, my when I was married to my first husband, I had a Muslim brother and sister-in-law, and she never wore a hijab. She was from Africa, and she never did. And
when I lived in Columbus, Ohio,
God says, "Bring it! I can defend myself."
All right.
When I lived in Columbus, Ohio, there at the Ohio State University, there are a lot of Muslim people that work there, like janitorial and nurses, and what I noticed is anything below the nurses, they wear full dress. When they become nurses, though, that stuff gets in the way, so they wear scrubs with just the hijab.
Yeah, and it's usually tucked into the scrub so it doesn't get out.
Right. Yes, they tuck it down in the collar. Right. Exactly.
And that works. I mean, because at that point, it's like a Christian wearing a cross, which, yes, I have all kinds of reasons to find that creepy. I don't walk around with a guillotine around my neck, but
I know, right? Someone died on this. I'm going to wear it around my neck.
Yeah, anyway. It's creepy. But, and to me, like the hijab, I see that and I'm kind of like, ooh, oppression. But other women, especially women who live in a society where they're free to wear it or not. And that's the important thing. Where it's not a matter of law, where it's like, I wear this as a symbol of my faith because I choose to, and I can choose to, right. That's the difference. Then it's like, okay, that's fine.
Ox asks, is it okay to like religious music if you're not religious? Asking for a friend.
You're the friend, Ox, and yes, it's okay.
I've heard a couple of people express
especially
that.
Classical.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. There's a couple that make me like goosebumpy. Probably based on my childhood, because those two were played like we would all get together on the weekends, not just religious people, but everybody would get together on the weekends, and we would have like campfires and big bonfires, and we'd all sit around and people would play music. And this one lady had a guitar and she was amazing. And she used to play all that stuff and everybody would sing with her. So I don't think it's really the songs, but just the memory behind those songs,
Well, at that point,
there's a couple that, they give me goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
What did you say, Purple?
No, I didn't say anything. I had my mic muted.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying something at the beginning, and then we all kind of answered at once.
Oh,
so.
I didn't even hear anybody. I'm sorry.
No, you and I do that. Sorry.
Yeah, around here, I'm not sure what the group is, but what we see around here a lot are the Somali women that have the full body covering. That you can't really see. You can't even see their face, just the eye slit.
Oh wow. Right. Okay, yeah, that's really rare here. I don't know that I've ever seen a woman wearing the full face veil here.
I never have in person, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that work at the Walmart here.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I had a regular customer. My first job out of college, I was a cashier at a health food store, and there was a woman and her daughter who would come in, and they both wore a burqa and full hijab, but they didn't wear the face covering. And the mom told me once that people often asked her if she was a nun, and I was like, well, I get it because I grew up around nuns, and yeah, it's very similar. Like with the that type of veil and that type of dress is very similar.
I'd like to point out that Ox has brought up, my favorite song ever is Hallelujah. Hallelujah is not a Christian song because it's a Hare Krishna song. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare are right in that song.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I never even paid attention to that. That's the Hallelujah is one of the ones that gets me.
Mm-hmm.
But now lots of people have done it. I like it like classical, leaning towards Italian classical, done like that. It's amazing.
What about that Harrison song? Is it George Harrison? The Beatle that he did that was so good. Is it okay for God to
get drunk?
Asking for me.
Oh man, God in the Old Testament, all about getting drunk and doing weird stuff. And hearing is all kinds of things. I mean, he might show up at a campfire and have dinner with you. You don't know.
My rule of thumb is it's okay for everyone but the moderator to get drunk.
Yep.
You have to have somebody who stays sober to mute anybody who gets out of hand.
Oh, in that sense, then God would be if God existed, God would be the ultimate moderator. So he'd have to be sober.
Okay, I know that B's busy right now, so I'm going to tell you one other thing. We brought up about people who were preaching on campus, and that reminded me of an incident that occurred while I was still a member of Campus Crusade. We had this guy that used to come and stand on some kind of box and preach, and he was your absolute typical street corner preacher. I mean, he would jump up and down on one foot holding his Bible saying, "I'm so happy, I'm jumping for joy for God."
Oh,
and
wow.
and he would preach out of his Bible, and the leader of Campus Crusade said, "Hey, we should take advantage of this because, obviously this guy is nuts. He there's nothing wrong with his theology, but he's obviously, just a little bit off. But he's getting people interested in spiritual things, and people are coming around to see him. They obviously have some kind of interest in spiritual things. So let's go and share with these people." And so that's what we did. We would, whenever we would see him on campus, we'd call each other and, "Hey, let's go out and share. He's out there again." And so we'd all go out and share the 4 laws with anyone we found in the audience.
Okay, so in summary, you were encouraged, in the name of Jesus, your Lord and Savior at the time, to go exploit a mentally ill man in the hopes of winning other souls for Jesus?
Well, we really weren't exploiting him. We would go and speak to people who were listening to him, but we didn't do anything to him.
I mean, you were a young person. I'm not blaming you. I'm blaming the people who said, "Oh, hey, he's nuts, but hey, we should use him." That bothers me a lot. Yeah. Ooh. Okay.
Why didn't they ever try to sit him down and talk to him and calm him down and maybe help him out? They just let him go on, and hey, let's go pick off the audience. It's fucked up.
Sir, I have to comment on this. Atheist God, blood wine is for Klingons. You are absolutely correct, sir.
Yes.
Yes.
And they can have it.
They can have it.
Not interested.
And Judy says that reminds me of my former pastor.
Oh gosh. No.
Hi, Junie.
Hi, Junie.
Yeah, I've seen pastors that do that too.
Oh my word, y'all. It's just so, I'm so glad that we all escaped. But really quickly, can we go back to the music thing for a second?
Sure.
I want to say there are some songs. Oh, God should have turned water into Scotch. Well, had God been a true Scotsman, he would have turned. I'm going to stop doing that now because that's offensive.
Right.
Anyway,
It's okay. Scotland has finally taken the blasphemy laws off the books.
Finally, they did. It's amazing. It only took until the 21st century, but they did. You're right. My God. Okay, let's keep in mind this is where, like, never mind. I'm not going to get into that. Okay, I was about to go down a history rabbit hole. No, not the point. I was going to tell you all something else entirely, and now I've forgotten it.
Something about music. It was something about Christian music.
Okay, so talking about like sacred music, you know, that's a genre of music, right? If you ever studied music or sang in a choir, sacred music is thing. The ones that still get me, Kyrie eleison, right? I gotta tell, when I was in choir in high school, we sang the Hallelujah chorus, and it was citywide. It was every high school in the city. That was the one at the Christmas thing that, and it was the one performance that all of the high schools did together. And I just have to say, when you are one of about 700 children singing your part in that incredibly beautiful arrangement by Mozart, there is not a dry eye on any face on the stage. I don't know how the audience felt about it, but I 4 years in a row never got through it without all of us just tears running down our faces just from the sheer beauty of the music and the voices. So, you know, you can disagree or ultimately not believe in, say, you know, believe as gospel, if you'll forgive the pun, but or believe in the absolute truth of something and still accept the beauty of it in terms of art, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I mean, go ahead, Purple. I'm sorry.
No, I was just agreeing in the side chat. Shane saying, I think people who go to churches with good music are more likely to remain Christian. And I do think that that's a big draw for certain denominations. I particularly think for the Southern Baptists.
Yes.
You know, because the music gets people so revved up in their sorry, having trouble with words.
No, you do. It's
but in their services that people just get so revved up with the music. And I think that is a thing that keeps a lot of the people in the church, keeps them coming back every week.
It's that communal experience of making music together and singing that. I mean, did you, when you in your neo-pagan days, did you ever do chants around a campfire or do the spiral dance while everybody was chanting? And I mean, that stuff, it takes you, it does this thing. I mean, it's measurable what it does to our brains, and it creates bonding chemicals. Serotonin gets released. You feel part of a group, and it's beautiful and it's powerful.
Well, one of my stepdaughters liked going to the rituals with me. You know, that she said she didn't really, you know, have any kind of belief in anything at that point, but she just enjoyed the dancing.
Oh, absolutely.
Junie makes a really good point here. As long as it's nothing contemporary Christian music, a certain NIFB pastor hates it and calls it queer music. And that reminds me of an experience that I had in a church. This was a really, really conservative church. I mean, you guys would be absolutely creeped out at some of the stuff that went on in this church. Like, for example, the time when we were doing a study on biblical manhood and womanhood, and the Sunday school teacher commented, well, I think all of the women here look sufficiently feminine. It's important for women to look feminine.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just threw up a little bit.
Yeah. But anyway, there was a couple that left our church because we were too radical when it came to the music, because we allowed a live drum player on the stage. I know, horror of horrors.
Blasphemer!
And And because of that, they felt they had to leave the church because, God would just never allow us a live drum player.
Well, my daddy plays the guitar, like most good Southern men.
Guitars are okay, just not drums.
Yeah, no, but well, here's the thing: in Catholic churches, in classic, Catholic masses, no, not okay. Guitars were not okay.
Yep.
So, but my dad played the guitar, and he likes. I mean, he has Jesus spray painted on his banjo. Okay, he likes to play music for the Lord. It's one of his things. And honestly, that's one of those places, B, where you talk about getting chills or having all these great childhood memories. A lot of them are of my dad playing guitar, and we're all singing, really good music together.
I have something to add to that.
Yeah, it's like Christian folk
I have a
music
church story
almost.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, great. I'll finish this up real quick. So my parents would seek out parishes that had a guitar mass, so that so mom could sing in the choir and dad could play in the choir. And so that's what they do. But you had to find them. Anyway,
Right.
Go ahead.
The church I grew up in was a small town, little church. Everybody knew everybody. They used to save a pew, most of one of the pews on one side for our family, because there was 7 of us coming in all the time, or 8. So everybody knew everybody and everything. So they actually had in this church a couple we knew sang and played guitar and stuff. And they would get up there and sit there and hang out during the mass. And then every time there was supposed to be music, they would play. We had an organist randomly, but they also did that too. And everybody would get up and sing, and it was a lot of fun. And I never realized that I was in a non-traditional Catholic church until later on in life, that other people were like, we didn't do that in our church.
Yeah.
And then I got a little older, and I went to weddings and stuff at the churches in town. They didn't do that. There was a choir, some of them, and the organist. That's what you got.
Yeah, no, you were in one of the progressive Catholic churches, is where you are.
Yeah, but it didn't. They didn't talk like that or anything. All the masses sound the same. The music was just different. And I don't know why they did that. Probably because half the church was musical and played violins and guitars and sang. And that's how our church was. A lot of people were really talented there.
That is exactly why. I can confirm that, as far as, because my parents, I say on my channel all the time that religion was never a casual thing in our household. My parents are super Catholic. My dad converted. He's got all the zeal of a convert. My mom was born and raised in it. It's who she is. She wouldn't know how to be. I mean, she accepts absolutely that anyone who says they're Christian, they're Christian, and who says they're not, they're not. She doesn't get in people's faces about that. But she is Catholic, and that is her thing. So I mean, it is what it is. But they were very. It's weird to say it because they're so conservative now, and they watch is Fox News. But when they were young, I remember they were cutting edge. They were hardcore, weird, liberal Catholics, because they thought that nuns should be able to perform mass. They thought that priests and nuns should be allowed to be married, that if they wanted to join a celibate order, that was one thing, but if they didn't, they shouldn't have to. And that's still a heretical idea. And then the other thing was the music. And you're absolutely right. It really just depends on the parish and who the priest is and who the congregants are.
Well, I know there are some denominations that somehow think the music is like a blasphemy, that they don't allow any music in their ceremonies.
Oh, I know. It breaks my heart. There's for one thing, there's the, oh goodness.
Church of Christ. Church of Christ does not allow any instruments whatsoever. Has to all
Yes, I
singing
couldn't
is a
remember who.
cappella.
Music,
wow, what a snoozer.
only. They can sing a cappella, but no
instruments.
Yep.
I have an odd connection with the Christian music because when I was starting high school,
I'm laughing at the comment.
I got a job working with a guy who repaired the church organs. And I primarily got that because I was small enough to crawl inside of the organs.
Yes, that is very. Oh, you need to talk to somebody I know very well about that. I'm not going to call anybody out, but yeah, you need to talk to a certain someone about that. Church organ repair and maintenance is a whole thing.
Getting back to Campus Crusade, I know B did a little bit of looking into this, and you said you had some stuff to share that you saw online that from videos.
Honestly, I looked them up, and there was just so much. There was so much. There were so many videos out there and all this stuff, and I was just like, I don't even know where to begin.
They have a Wikipedia page.
I was scrolling through them, just looking at the thumbnails of each one. And the one thing I thought was, these kids are coming from, a lot of them are naive about religion or naive about the world. And they're coming from small towns or big cities or whatever. They don't know shit, depending on their parents. And they go to college, and they're supposed to be concentrating on studying and education. And there's these people preying on them. And they're preying on these kids who, and they're in a new area. They're scared. They don't have any friends. Oh, I'm your friend. Oh, I'm going to be religious, and then, all that stuff. If it's somebody that struggles or needs to concentrate on their studies, you're taking them away from that. You're fucking up their life. Let them just slowly learn it as they go. They'll learn it when they get out in the world. It's okay. You don't have to shove it down their throats. And I just think they're naive and easily influenced, and they take advantage of that. And it just pisses me off that, leave them alone,
I can tell you after teaching students that age, in that age group for 14 years, they are very easily influenced, and it's because, and some aren't. It is fascinating. You can definitely tell the ones who are like, in high school, they would have sat with me at my table. Like, not that I'm all cool and stuff. There was plenty of people that I followed blindly. I'm not trying to sound like I was more though, but I had a good sense of who I was and who I wasn't from a fairly young age. And that has to do with lots of things. It has to do with just a lot of life experience. Some of it, if you go through certain kinds of trauma when you're really young, you got to grow up a little faster than people around you because, so it just, and I'm not getting anything gross or anything like that. Just, when you have, like, say, someone die in your family and then somebody else die, stuff like that happens, and you gotta grow up and you gotta roll with it. Oh my God. I'm learning things about my partner that I did not know. Hang on.
There you go.
So anyway, so B knows what I'm talking, you all know what I'm talking about. But so there are students who are very self-possessed at a young age and have a good idea of who they are, but they're still seeking and they're still searching. They're figuring out their major, that says it right there. Like they're trying to figure out like who they want to be, what they want to do. And they feel like they have to have all of those answers right now. And that I think is some of the danger that B was talking about, is that because of that, if somebody comes up and says the right thing or they're impressionable in that sense because they're very open. They're very open to being led in different directions. It's why we have general education courses, is so people can figure out what they're good at and what they like,
Right.
But the other side of that, of course, is that they're young. They don't have the experience that we all have now. And I'm finished.
Okay. On the other hand, I'm looking at what's going on in the church today, and the numbers of church members is shrinking. Hemet Mehta posted an article today that said that church membership is at an all-time low at 47% in the United States, and fewer than 50% of people are even going to church. And it's the millennials and the Gen Zs that are really leading that. People my age, the boomers, are still. He said it's down in every demographic, but
how is that before COVID?
And he said COVID was not related to it. I don't see.
Come on now.
He actually got, but
we may just not have the data yet.
I think part of the reason he says though is because if you look at the trend, it's been trending that way for the last 10 years.
Okay. That's what I'm asking. This isn't since COVID.
No,
this was before and including.
It was trending down, but I thought that I kind of got the impression that COVID had accelerated it.
It probably has. It probably has.
Yeah, we just may not have a statistically significant N for that, as in the letter N. And, we might not have that yet.
But I think, particularly the Gen Zers, I think they are much harder to fool in some ways, because they're also some of the leaders in some of the most ridiculous stuff, the flat earthers, the anti-vaxxers. But on the other hand, they're also much better at looking up information. And, if they hear something that they're not so sure about, looking it up and finding out that, hey, that doesn't make sense.
And this is where I'd hold up my cell phone and even though you can't see it, this is meta stuff here, but it's because they have the sum total of human knowledge in their pocket and they're not afraid to use it. They don't have to go to their grandkid and say, honey, what's a Google? Like they don't have to, they've grown up with this. And so yeah, they may all, it's easy to fall into, misinformation traps for sure. But I think you're right, Granny. I think the fact that that they have access to more information and they have access to the internet, yes, there are bad things about that, but there's also a lot of good things about that because you've got people who aren't being raised so ignorant that that they think that, for example, Catholics worship demons. I've actually had that thrown in my face by a family member, an in-law, but still, it was like, I'm sorry, you thought what now? Like, have you ever Googled Catholics? I just, and I'm sorry, I know I sound like I don't mean, the Catholic Church is an evil child abuse cabal, and that's all I'm going to say about that. But the point is, I'm not trying to champion it or anything like that. I don't want to come off, but that's my Christianity experience, so that's what I can speak from.
Right.
Yeah. So having said that, it's like when I get these weird people come, when I hear these, I've heard so many things since I became an atheist about the religion that B and I were both brought up in, and I'm like, that is not even remotely a thing. Where did you get that?
Yeah, you do hear some crazy shit. But the thing is that it's kind of like what we were saying about the church I was at in a small town was different than the one in the big town. And that's the way all the churches are, I think. I've been to a lot of different kinds of churches. I mean, every denomination I could try. And I've gone to more than one of each denomination a couple times, here and there in a different state. And they were nothing alike. Yep. They were just night and day. So, I think you have some that are like the small town, we're just chilling over here, getting together on Sunday and enjoying the community thing. And then you have the fucking crazy people, I just think it's everywhere. It's just like a group of atheists or a group of Christians. You're going to have some really nice people, some dumbasses, and some assholes. It's every group.
Absolutely.
It's not, it just varies. It just depends.
Yeah. And we've got a good comment here from Skeptic. Purple Runs with Orange. We plan to have another, though. I'm bringing over some more European DNA to introduce to the gene pool in Kentucky. I will say my sympathies, Skeptic, if you have to go live in Kentucky.
I was born there. I was born in that state. I claim Tennessee because I've lived here way longer than I ever lived in Kentucky. But I was born in Kentucky, spent my childhood in Kentucky. And oh my gosh, yes, they need a bigger gene pool, A. And B, yeah, oh gosh, yeah, what Granny said. It's beautiful country, though. It will remind you, depending on what part of the UK you're from, it will remind you of home. That's why so many. Oh yeah,
Tennessee, yeah,
Irish, yeah, Tennessee and Kentucky both. Like so many Scots and Irish settled there because the mountains and all that stuff. Like it reminded them of home. So.
Well, I had
too many Kentuckians marry their cousins.
Oh God, it was legal to marry your cousin in.
Look, I'm going to tell you. I think it's Alabama.
And
I think it's Alabama. Somebody look it up. I think Alabama, you can marry your first or second cousin or something like that.
And I know people your first cousin in 17 states.
Yeah. See, but I know people that actually drove down to that state because that was the closest to one from Virginia.
Yeah.
To get married because they were first cousins. I was like, what the
terrible
are
it's
you
legal
doing?
In Kentucky too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. In Tennessee, the reason I know this for sure is when Junk Shop and I were married, we got married right before, not right before, but before same-sex marriage was legal federally. And we felt crappy about it, but we were like, yeah, we want to knock this out. Let's lock this up anyway. So because we did. I don't have a good excuse. We wanted to get married, so and we could, so we did. But when we were there, we found out. Well, thank you, Maya. We found out that yeah, it was still legal to marry your first cousin in Tennessee, but had Junk Shop or I, both been born with the same sex organs, we couldn't have gotten married in Tennessee when we did. And we haven't been married that long, y'all. That's the really creepy part. The whole thing is disturbing. And we wonder why everybody makes jokes about how stupid Southerners are. It's like, well, because you can still marry your first cousin here. Come on. Sorry.
This is really good news. Skeptic says, I'm from the south of England. Whenever I've been, it reminded me of the UK. The part of it that I'm moving to seems very progressive. I have trans friends, atheist friends, and gay friends there.
Woo-hoo.
That
Nice.
is cool. That is really cool.
But yeah, that is really cool. It's cool that you found like-minded people. That is amazing.
Your niche.
Yeah.
Your niche in the state.
And B and I both lit cigarettes at exactly the same moment.
I'm in tune with you, Julie.
It's
the Catholic thing. It's the recovering Catholic thing.
It is.
I met a chick online, and we were talking about religion. We met, and I was sitting there talking about religion. And she said, "Well, I'm a recovering Catholic," and I was like, "Oh my God, that's great! Can I use that?"
Right.
And first thing I said was, "Well, how long have you been recovering?" She's like, "Oh, since I was like 12. It's like 14 years now." Or something, or whatever.
Recovering Catholic was a very popular phrase in the pagan community.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh well, she had connections.
I used to tell people that I was born Catholic. By the time I was a teenager, my condition was upgraded to Methodist, and now I'm fully recovered.
Upgraded to Methodist. That's great.
Well, Methodist is so close. It's so close, but they can get married, which is like even they don't have the weird celibacy orders. So
the Methodists have also always been more liberal on the gay issues and that.
Yeah, they are now, absolutely. And it depends. Yeah, it can depend on which Methodist pastor you talk to, but absolutely yes.
Yeah, the United Methodists. Yeah.
As a whole, absolutely yes. Yeah, sorry.
Oh, funny people in the chat tonight, Granny.
Yeah.
Yep, we do. We have some really funny comments today.
But I
got distracted from the conversation 3 times by reading the chat, including you, Purple. Quit doing that.
Part of my weird religious experience was that being Catholic, we were in the minority because we lived in Skokie, Illinois, which at the time I was growing up was 85% Jewish.
Mm.
And, most of the Jewish people would just kind of do a sort of condescending, smile and shake their heads like, we gave you a perfectly good book and this is what you did to it.
Right?
That's what I was laughing
at. It doesn't even meet the requirements for the Messiah. What do you... okay, whatever. Oh, this is good. Methodists are just softcore Episcopalians, or just softcore Anglicans, or just softcore Catholics. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, just a couple steps removed.
Right. And I just want to clarify, I don't mean just religious groups messing with kids when they go to college. I think all this frat shit should stop. I think that everybody just leave them the fuck alone and let them get their education. Because all that crap ends up to them getting in trouble, or them getting held back, or them getting kicked out, or it's just something. Just leave them alone.
Against what it was initially for, which was to make contacts. The whole point of fraternities and sororities initially was to meet people in your field of study, preferably, or people, close to, so that when you went out into the world to do something with that education, you'd know people. That was the whole point. And also to build community, which is where you get historically Black fraternities and that kind of thing. It's very important. It was to have that. But yeah, it's just...
And Mr. Shadow Kitty is absolutely right. Yeah, this is the way it was until the 1970s. It was illegal where I live until the 1970s to marry interracially.
Yep.
Yeah.
God, it's so ridiculous.
It is because, and this is the thing that, I mean, because of course there are traits that are handed down, just like brown hair and brown eyes or what have you, but but yeah, race is a social construct. We have discovered we all are descended from people on the plains of Africa who either left or didn't at certain times tens of thousands of years ago, and that's amazing.
And then their bodies, amazingly enough, adapted to their environment. This is why people that from Asian nations where there's lots of water have little slanty, squinty eyes, is to protect their eyes because they constantly have a glare off the water.
Yep, bicotal
Just
bulb.
look it up, everybody. Just look it up. It's not difficult.
And it's beautiful. It's so much more fascinating than you know, you were crafted by God. It's so much better, because why would God make, say, anyone black when chattel slavery was a thing? Why would a loving God do that? You know, it's like no, that's human beings being horrible to human beings. But the upside of evolution is this doesn't care about you. It just cares about your genes getting passed down. And so we're all just, I mean, I find that so much more infinitely amazing, if not, to use a word I know a lot of atheists like myself wrestle with sometimes, but miraculous, that I even exist. There are so many points in history where if one person had gone left instead of right, I would not exist. And so it's just amazing to me that I do.
Yeah.
And I take
But you probably just would have ended up with different parents. That's all.
Oh, that's what my mother would have said. Well, you know, you were in the eyes of God long before the blah blah blah. Yep. Mind of God, she would have said.
Yeah, going back to Crusade, their big thing is the 4 spiritual laws.
Oh, I was going to ask you, what are those? I don't know what those are.
Okay. It's a booklet that was developed by Bill Bright, who was the founder of Campus Crusade, and this is what they use when they proselytize, when they go and share their faith. Is they bring out this little booklet and they ask, "Have you heard of the 4 spiritual laws?" And if they say no, then you sit down and you share with them. Or if they say, you know, well, basically, if they don't say no, that they don't want to hear it, then you sit down. And law 1 is God loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life.
Oh,
oh really? Well, fuck him.
Yeah.
Because I've been stomped on every way to Sunday. So fuck him.
Yes, but you don't know him yet. And so you haven't been able to tap into this wonderful plan yet.
Oh, I forgot. God has a reason for my trauma. Right.
Right. That's right.
Yeah, my family has had a wonderful plan for my life, and I didn't care for that plan either.
Yeah.
My sister told me that God was testing me, and I said, I've already passed enough. He
Thank
can stop
you.
that shit.
Ooh. Well said, B. I'm sorry if I talked over you. Well said.
No, you're okay. I've talked over you in purple like 10 times. It's fine.
Oh, we do that. That's how we talk. No, I'm sorry. Granny, please continue with the 4.
Okay. Law 2, man is sinful and separated from God. Therefore, he cannot know and experience God's love and plan for his life.
Oh my God.
No. See, that's it. That's why your life is so bad, B. That's what they teach you, is that, you know, and they show this picture of man without God, and his life is all out of balance and things are going the wrong way.
Because I quit believing a couple years before my mother died. That's why she died. Okay, I got it now. Yeah. Okay, I got it. My life went to chaos because, you know, because of God. Right.
Junk Shop asks, man is sinful, but what about woman? Hey,
that means everybody.
We women are perfect.
Yeah.
No, women are the temptresses that lead men to sin.
There we go.
Yes, we are. And non-binary people, they don't exist in this situation. So I'm going to walk downstairs and my partner will have poofed away in a puff of biblical logic. Illogic.
An atheist God has a really good point here. Just think, in Georgia, if you commit sodomy, they put you into a cell with someone who will sodomize you.
Oh, and they let that happen. Why do we not protect our prisoners from being assaulted?
Oh, they encourage it. The guards bet on that shit
Yeah.
in some prisons.
Oh my God. I'm not surprised.
It's more fucked up than you think.
I'm sure it is.
Oh, yeah.
Sure
If they arrest someone who is gay or trans, they will quite often put them in a cell with someone that they know will take advantage of that.
Oh God. See, I'm sorry. You're talking to somebody who couldn't make it through all of the seasons of Orange is the New Black, and that was like, prison for, privileged white girls. So,
that wasn't Max, right?
No, I didn't make. I actually watched the premiere of the season where they went to Max after the riot, and I watched that one episode, and I was like, I can't right now. I can't. I'm too upset. And that was fiction. That wasn't actual human beings. Those were people having good jobs, is what that was.
Where we at, Granny?
Yeah.
Okay. Law number 3. Jesus Christ is God's only provision for man's sin. Through him, you can know and experience God's love and wonderful plan for your life.
Oh, shucks.
That's why so many women marry him and stuff. It's so
all
weird.
3 of these have just made me say I still hate God if he did that. Carry on.
Oh, read Judy's comment real quick, and then I'll get back to the 4th law. I could just feel him in me through the Holy Spirit. So that's how you know he's real, huh? I used to think that was real, but I don't think I understood it. Yeah, and Judy is absolutely spot on, because I was the exact same way.
Yep.
I thought I was feeling it too.
I did too.
Oh, I didn't. I just didn't even understand it. All of that was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I didn't get it, but
not only had I seen, because I've had bipolar disorder my whole life, and I didn't know that can make you hallucinate. And I didn't know that I had it. Anyway, lots of things. Not only had I thought I physically saw my guardian angel. And by the way, when you tell very religious parents that you've seen your guardian angel, they don't think to take you to a doctor. That's not their first thought. And my parents are wonderful people. I'm not trying to talk trash here, but my dad was so thrilled. He was so thrilled. He was like, "Oh, you've been so blessed," and blah, 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 blah. And it was like the most attention I got out of him for like in a calendar quarter, because he worked all the time. But yeah, it's like, so I saw one, and I constantly thought, and then there's also this weird Catholic thing about tell me if this was true for you, B, that your dead family members are watching over you.
Oh yeah.
It's not ancestor worship in that sense, but if once somebody has died, they're closer to God than you are. They're closer to Jesus and the saints. So you might I found myself many times like going, hey, I need help. I'm not doing well with this, and feeling like somebody had my back. Somebody who knew more than I did had my back. But that is completely a construction of the brain, and for someone like me, that's actually a very dangerous construction, because I could believe in all sorts of things and have that aren't true.
Oh yeah.
Sam, hang on to that comment, because I'm going to get to that in about 2 minutes. Okay, law 4 is we must individually receive Jesus Christ as Savior and Lord, and then we can know and experience
God's love.
God's love and wonderful
plan for your life.
It all sounds so dirty. What is happening?
Still fuck him. I'm still a fuck him.
Yeah, I mean, I basically, I don't know. It's like the conclusion that no gods exist is not. I know people love to accuse us of hating God, but honestly, if that God does exist, I do hate that guy. I'm not a fan.
Yep.
At all. And
it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't.
That's the position I've always taken. Is I'm not going to get into the debate of does God exist. If I give you that he exists and is exactly as described in the Bible, you've got a hell of a lot of work to convince me that there's anything worth worshiping there.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Sam brought up a comment that reminded me of a second book that Campus Crusade had that I had completely forgotten about. Let's see, I can't remember the name of the booklet. I've just looked it up. But they show this they show this picture of a train, and it shows fact, faith, and feeling. And fact is supposed to be the engine, and faith is the coal car, and feeling is the caboose. And they say that you have to keep those three things in balance, that you need facts, God and his word to be pulling the train of your faith, and faith is trusting in God's word, and the feelings are supposed to be the result that you get of that. So they actually do put feelings as the last thing.
That is fascinating. I'm looking at their Wikipedia page right now, and if you click on the hyperlink to the 4 spiritual laws in English, the pamphlet is just simply called, at least in its current incarnation, Have You Heard of the 4 Spiritual Laws?
Yep.
That's the entire title, and you can buy it.
The name of the second book is The Spirit-Filled Life. That's what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was totally visualizing that pamphlet. I remember seeing that one with the 4 laws. I didn't remember much of the text, but
I do not, and that's why the story I told you, and the stuff about hearing the anecdote that I told you, and the stuff about hearing the kid who was very much into preacher mode on campus. I honestly, while I knew there was a campus, I knew there was a crew. I always think Campus Crusade for Christ in my head, but this was
the same organization. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Yeah, when they used it. Anyway, so that's what I think of. I honestly don't know that individual was part of that group. Mm-hmm. I would not be shocked to find out that individual was, but I do not know that for certain. So I just want to be clear that I'm not not misrepresenting or anything.
Right.
There's plenty wrong with these guys anyway.
Yeah, you don't need to help them. They're doing it all by themselves.
Yeah, whether he was part of it or not, he might as well. Life-saving water. Oh, this is missionary work that they do, sort of. It's they provide water, drill new wells, repair broken ones. You can go do that with them.
Mm-hmm. And they do have some good ministries, and they do have some ministries where they genuinely help people. So they're not a completely bad organization.
Well, no. They also send Bibles to people in the Middle East, which is hilarious.
Although one complaint that I have seen about them from some former employees was that they push people to go on these mission trips, and then you have to pay your own way on the mission trips. You're supposed to raise your own support. Oh. And then the organization takes a percentage of the support that you raise. And so they push people to go on expensive mission trips so that they can raise money.
My God.
And so
that's really caring about your fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and they're taking advantage of people who do. Mm-hmm. Is a sad thing. You've got these young people, because somebody who's 50 or isn't going to sign up to do that, or like, dude.
Well, no, they wouldn't want you anyway. Their staff members are all people who are under 30.
There you go. Yeah, so they're taking young people, and they want to take them out, and they're telling them you're going to do this great work, you're going to help these people, and maybe we'll bring some of them to Jesus. Yay! And in the meantime, we need you to come up with $4,000.
So, I have a question, Grady, for everybody. So if everybody that is a religious person and is part of a church, and it makes up about 50% of our population, and they're all supposed to help people, why do we have homeless people and starving children?
Yep.
Oh, honey.
Because that doesn't make up another 50%. It doesn't make up 75.
Nope.
So how come we have that if all of these religious people are supposed to be helping people?
Yeah, there you go, Gotti.
Why aren't they helping? You want to preach about it. actions, remember?
Yep.
Do
and
it.
if the church
Go
hall
help
is
them.
only being used, 1 or 2 days a week, why don't they let the homeless people sleep in there the rest of the time?
Oh, they don't want to clean up after them, Purple? No, that's like work.
I
No,
have
we
been
don't
in
want
a
to
couple
give
of
that
churches
much.
where they've used the building 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Some of them do, yeah.
One church I was at, they had 3 different AA meetings that met in the church, and the Boy Scouts met there, and there was an NA meeting that met there. They allowed a lot of different groups to use the church. So
Yeah.
Well,
some of them do a good job.
Well,
when I was in the Catholic Church, they had the school attached so that they had rooms for all that kind of activity stuff. So the church itself was basically only used on, Sundays and sometimes a Wednesday night mass.
That's true.
The sanctuary itself, the church part is for that. But yeah, there was a huge. It just got torn down a few years ago because of frankly, because of building codes. Unfortunately, it needed to be torn down, which is sad. And yes, Junie, humanists do it better. But there was a huge Methodist church that was very old downtown here. Well, not quite downtown, but anyway, downish town here, that had a huge space for a homeless shelter that they ran at night, every night. They had a men's section and a women's section. You came in, you signed it, and they, until every bed was full, they'd let people in. You had to be there by a certain time, and if you left, you couldn't come back in. They had those kinds of rules, which a lot of them do, but it was
pretty
a
much
safe
every
place.
shelter I've heard of does, yeah.
Right, exactly. I mean, even secular shelters do that, and they do it for good reason. But so it was a big space that gave a safe place to sleep for a lot of people, and it was really, and one of the saddest things I ever saw was when the building got condemned, the people who protested were all homeless people who slept there. And they were like, please don't tear down our home. Those were what the signs read. And it was just heartbreaking because the building needed millions of dollars of renovations to bring it up to code, and just the money was not coming. I'm not going to say it wasn't there. You can always find the money, but
they could.
Never got to be found. Yeah.
Getting back to the question about why do we still have poverty and, starving children and everything when all the churches are supposed to be doing all this, I think a big part of the reason is lack of organization. You've got all these churches trying to do all these little things, and there's so much overlap in what they're trying to do. There just isn't enough coordination of effort.
Yes.
And that's why the government is able to do it so much better, because you can have one organization trying to work everywhere. Right. And it's the same reason that we need national health care. Yeah, we need one organization coordinating healthcare for the whole country.
Yes.
I can't believe we're doing this, but we're basically saying, yes, if all of the churches would get together and organize their efforts in their own cities and communities and regions, so much more good could be done.
Well, my whole point is they say that, but they don't do any of it.
Right, they don't do it because the First Baptist Church is too busy arguing with the Second Baptist Church, and the Protestants and Catholics are too busy arguing with each other.
Or hating the people in the synagogue down the street. Right.
Right, exactly.
They're so busy judging people and pointing fingers and being holier than thou that at the end of the day, they don't really want to leave their home. I'm not saying there's not people that do it. There's people that do it. I've known people who go and hand out sandwiches to homeless people and stuff like that, and they're religious-based little group of folks that do it, and that's great. I'm just saying that if they really walk the walk instead of just running their mouths, it would be a whole different thing. But the bottom line is very few of them are giving, and there's a lot of self-righteous people that are judging people instead. They're snubbing their nose at them instead of saying, hey, how can I help you? Well, that's what you're supposed to do. Read your Bible.
Well, and then there's the other issue. You know what? You're right, B, because that is the Bible's all over the place, full of contradictions. But one of the few consistent themes is maybe the most consistent theme, arguably. And I'm not a theologian, but I've read the thing. I've read it once before. I'm going back through it now with Junk Shop. Ugh, it's just a lot, but is always entertain a stranger. Don't turn a stranger away.
That's right.
Because and there's so many verses to that. There's one in Hebrews, the one that people are probably most familiar with is something about don't hesitate to entertain strangers because by doing so some have entertained angels unawares, right? So the idea is, hospitality. You don't turn someone away, particularly at night, because think about the ancient world. You turn someone away from your door at night, they might be dead in the morning.
Yeah.
So you didn't do that. It just wasn't done. And yeah, so so to see modern followers of Abrahamic religions not doing that and or doing the opposite, right? Where they're like, I hate you because you don't agree with me about what my thoughts of what I think God is so frustrating.
And it's really stupid on their part, because if they help those people, they'd have more parishioners.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you help those people, they're going to follow your lead. It's just like the college kids. They're in need, they're desperate, they're lonely, whatever. You bring them in and help them, and then they're going to be like, praise God. And they're stupid for not using that. You can help yourself get into heaven and gain a parishioner. Come on now, get out there and do it.
I forgot what I wanted to say.
So
it'll come back to me. It always does.
I have that effect on women. What's my name? No.
Well, we've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, and yeah, so we'll go ahead and start closing it down. But first, I'm going to give everyone a chance for any final thoughts that they might have. It doesn't have to be on Campus Crusade. It could be anything you want to just, throw in a couple 2 cents worth out on, and a chance to shill for whatever you might want to shill for. So B, let's start with you. What you got coming up? What you want to say is any final closing thoughts?
I don't know. Closing thoughts. I just think that a lot of these organizations, not just Christian different organizations, one's Scientology, all these different shit, they all prey on people that need help, and somebody needs a crutch, and they give them a crutch and they lean on it. And that's what I think most people are in religion for. It's a crutch. It's something so they feel better about themselves. It's something so they feel, I'm going to go somewhere after this. When I die, it's not the end. Well, okay. But, so yeah, that's what I think. I think it's just a matter of preying on people, and I think it's horrible. And I don't think anybody should do it. I don't even think atheists should go into colleges or go to people that are desperate and give them, a little bit of attention so they can sway them or whatever. Just leave them the hell alone. You want to help them. But, yeah, don't brainwash them. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I do 8 p.m. Eastern time streams, Quality on Monday, pretty much open mic history stream on Wednesdays, and then Fridays is open mic. Of course, all of it lasts for about 20 minutes, and then it's all open mic anyway. But that's what that's why I made half of my mic anyways. So yeah, I got that going on, and then whenever wonderful people like Granny ask me on, I do these things. So thanks, Granny.
Okay, thank you. Purple.
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered what I would have said for the wrap up. Just say you hear a lot of talk about helping people, and you don't see a lot of groups that are actually doing it. But as far as chilling my stuff out, I do casual hangouts every Wednesday at noon and Thursday at midnight Central Time. And that's usually I just do casual hangouts, but tomorrow I am doing one with more of a purpose. That tomorrow is Transvisibility Day. So I'm having just a panel of trans people, discussing the sort of issues they deal with that most people probably would never think about.
That sounds like a really good stream.
That's really cool. And that's, you're doing that at noon?
Yeah, that's tomorrow at noon Central Time.
So 2 p.m. Eastern. Okay. I'll see if I
No,
can
it's
catch
1
it.
p.m. Eastern. I'm only an hour off the East Coast.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Purple. I gave you my times.
Yep.
Did that mountain time stuff. So
Yeah.
Julie, what do you have going on?
Oh, work, which has nothing to do with this. I'm working a lot, and I really got to thank everybody. You kept me so sane during the very nearly entire year that I was out of work, and now I have a job, and I'm like, I'm never around. And so
Yeah, we know we miss you.
I know I miss y'all too, and I feel bad about it. So I'm here tonight. Thank you, Granny, for inviting me. And Purple, noon is my lunch break. I don't always take a lunch, but excuse me, I'm working from home tomorrow, so I'll try and be, I can be in your stream tomorrow, like in the side chat. I will not
That's
be
cool.
I will not be prepared to be on, but I can. But yeah, having said that, I did have to cut back on some things. My patrons know what's up with all that. I'm also trying to make more reasonably sized videos so that, well, A, it's easier videos. What am I saying? Live streams. I don't have time to edit. Anyway, I'm doing more reasonably sized live streams just so that, people who want to watch something, they look at it and they go, ooh, that's an hour and 45 minutes. I don't know, because I do that. I do that on YouTube. So I thought,
I do that.
Yeah, I'll try and make them a little shorter, but it's not working too well. I mean, I think I went for an hour and 20 minutes earlier.
Just break it in pieces and then just publish the pieces separately.
There you go. See, I should do that. Oh,
well, that's a good idea. Thanks, Granny, because I have some like 3.5 hour streams.
Atheist Experience does that. They'll separate their show into callers because I don't want to watch the whole thing. But I'll watch one caller.
Right.
Cool.
Well, I do have to say that I've got secular D&D on One Ring 42's channel on Saturday. It's not everybody's bag. Watching people play D&D is very different from playing it yourself. There are very few. I don't like watching other people play D&D, and I freaking love D&D. So I understand if you're not there in the chat, but if you enjoy that sort of thing or just want to watch for a bit and see what kind of shenanigans we get up to, it is a lot of fun. At some point, I will be cosplaying my character. I am a wig short of the costume. The rest of it's in the mail. So once it's all here and everything fits and I get the makeup right and everything's ready to go, I'll send out a thing beforehand, like to let everybody know, hey, by the way, I'm actually dressing up, ears and all, as my gnome arcane trickster cleric. So yeah, and now that I've bored everyone and everyone has left your chat, Granny, I'll just say Wine and Reason Tuesday nights at normally, it was at a weird time today, normally 8 o'clock Central Time. And thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it.
Okay. I have a bunch of different things going. First, I've got a project that I need a little bit of help with. Some of you might have seen that I did a short video that is aimed at about a 5-year-old level, explaining what is an atheist to children who have Christian parents and have just never heard of it, and they just honestly don't know what it is. And someone asked me to do a sequel to that. Well, partly I had mentioned even in that video that at some point I would do a sequel explaining why I am an atheist. And I really am making these videos in case I never get the opportunity to tell my grandchildren about what I believe and why I believe it. So I'll have it left behind for them to find at some point in their lives.
Nice, Granny. Aw.
Yeah.
So
and
sweet.
So I'm putting together the second one, which is Why Am I an Atheist? And I've asked for people to contribute to this. And so far, I have a couple of videos from Junie the Apostate, which I plan to put into these. And if anyone else would like to do just a short 2 to 4 minute video, why I am an atheist, keep it at a level that a 6-year-old could understand. And I'm going to put these together into a video. And if I get a lot of them, then I'll probably make it, a 2 or 3 parter. Cool. Oh, Skeptic says he's going to contribute. Yes. Just contact me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is @KellyPearsall3, In the description of this video is my link tree, and you can also find it on there. And links to everybody's Twitter and channel are in the description of the video as well. And then other things that I have coming up. I'm working on a collab with Mr. Bear. I promised him I would do this, and I haven't done it yet. And I just finally remembered, oh yeah, that's right, I need to do this. I'm not sure exactly when that is coming out, but it will be coming out in a bit. For this week, as a produced video, Purple, you're probably interested in this. I am reviewing the Minnesota Supreme Court decision that it's okay to rape drunk people.
Oh, I saw that. I'm so angry.
Yeah. I read through the court case. I read through the lower court case. I went through the Minnesota sexual criminal conduct studies or statutes like 5 times, trying to find some of the nuances in them and work on that. So I've got that coming up.
And then our legal eagle in the community. Like, I'm really interested to hear your take on this.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't have the knowledge you do.
Preview: the prosecutor fucked up. He could have easily won this case, and the fact that he didn't is because he used the wrong part of the statute.
Oh my God. Okay.
Well, there is already a bill being drafted up by some of our representatives to rewrite that statute.
Mm-hmm. I can't help but wonder if possibly this was all a political move. That possibly, they lost the case on purpose, knowing that when it got sent back for retrial, they could retry it under the correct section of the statute, just so that the public would get outraged over this and change the statute. But I discovered something about Minnesota law in my study of it that I think even you may be surprised at, Purple. And I'm not going to tell you what it is. You got to wait till the video comes out. Next Tuesday, I will stream at my regular time. I don't have a guest lined up yet, so I still got to think about who's going to be the guest and what time. But the following week is another episode of Why Are We Here? Cirrus will be here, and Shannon Q, Dave Warnock, and Junie the Apostate.
Woo-hoo!
Nice.
So April 13th, Why Are We Here? That's going to be a really special show.
All right, I'm putting it in my calendar.
Okay, and that being said, just want to thank B, thank you Purple, thank you Julie, thank you everyone in the chat. You've really contributed a lot to the topic. It's been fun, it's been a laugh, and I hope everyone else had a good time. Everyone, live your life. Bye.
Bye.